Welcome to UnGoals session 1. I'm your guide on this session. My name is Eva with an I, for those who are new to this. And this is an effort to liberate ourselves to greater joy, abundance, peace in our business, things like that. So today's day 1. I'm very, very pleased and honored, and I'm excited to share this precious time with you. So thank you. Thank you for being here. So a few logistical things. This 3-day process is not a healing process. It's more of an activation process where I will be talking about topics that are issues that will open up for you. Okay. If you do the homework and go inward and try to be present as somatically as you can, it will turn, or it may turn into a deep healing journey that will liberate something for you, not just in your business, but in your life. Now, how deep you go with this, it's totally up to you, okay? I will say your job during these 3 sessions is not to take a lot of notes. I actually don't recommend taking notes much at all, unless it's like, okay, this hit me, I need to focus on this later. Because the point is to get out of our head and into our body. So when I share different stories and different things, different blind spots and different things that the mind poses to us, our job is to check in within our body. Do I have a charge about this or not? Okay. So for this to work, we don't need a lot of notes. Sometimes notes are actually resistance because they can limit, we feel so good about all of our notes, but it actually limits how into the unknown we can go. What shift really is that split second where you kind of get a glimpse of something, right? You get a glimpse and you can't really put a finger on what it is. And you have to follow this little trail. It's like, okay, I got hit by something and I'm going to follow the trail and to see where it leads. And it starts unraveling itself until you get a major, major blind spot that has been running your life. So, second of all, participation in person makes a huge difference. I don't have to tell you this, right? But what you put in is what you get out. It's kind of the law. So everything works by intention. Therefore, if you hold a very strong intention, if you have a yes in your heart for a certain kind of future for yourself and your business and how you feel, how much peace, how much love, how much joy can you bring into your life, anything becomes possible, right? So it is about the intention in our heart. So take a moment and put the hands on your heart and think about or feel into what's my intention here. Because you can literally create miracles out of this. Miracles is a change of perception, nothing else, right? However, if you're competing with your mind, if your mind wants you to go grocery shopping or think about this and have all the tabs open, right? You're competing with your ego. And you will still get something out of this, but it will be a little bit of a fractional effect, right? You will still get something, right? It will get anchored and it might come up later for processing. But the most important is our own somatic experiencing journey, right? While we're here. Because if we can't experience out the resistances that we have, we will be exactly where we are, just with a little bit more knowledge. So we're required to go for 3 days. That's my commitment. I might do a bonus session on Thursday if it feels right. It will just depend how I feel. My commitment is to make as much difference as I can to you, and at the same time, not be detrimental to my well-being, because I'm a very, very highly sensitive person, okay? And sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming to deal with everything that is coming up out of an event like this. Okay, so if you have time on your calendar, Thursday, there's a possibility of a bonus session. So for now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 10 to 11 Mountain. There's a Facebook group where we will be posting homework. And I really recommend joining. The link is in the chat for you. And the homework, it can sometimes be quite vulnerable, but I think this is a safe group. And you don't know, sometimes the homework, it's you know, when you share something, it will alter something for another person. It's not just for you, but it's for everybody else, because we're creating this as a collective. So hello, hello, hello. Oh my goodness. So many new people joined. I am so excited. All right. So who's ready to dive in? Okay, okay. And we're going to be using the chat a lot. And when you share in the chat, it's, yeah, don't overthink it. This is a safe space. We're all in the same journey of digging through what's inside of us, you know. We're all in the same healing journey. Is there anybody who's not? Is there any judges here? So I can kick them out. Okay. So I would like to kick off and share with a story. So I think it was maybe a week ago, I went to the beach here in Costa Rica. I live in a place called Nosara. And right after my nanny picked up my daughter, and I didn't have my computer for a month. I was living my business without a computer completely, which became incredibly freeing, incredibly wonderful. But I went to the beach to have my CEO day, right? A lot of reflecting, a lot of inner healing. And then I lost my car keys on the beach in the sand. And I make it to my car key and I realized that, okay, you know, what am I going to do? There's a lot of sand there. I'm not going to go and dig through it. And then this thing came up. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to text my nanny to text me the number for the tuk-tuk, which is the local version of a taxi. Oh my God, she's going to know she's babysitting and I'm on the beach. You know, how does that look? Oh my word. And all this guilt, all this shame, you know, for anybody who's a mom, it's like when you're not working, you're with your kids because that's what we do, right? We're literally, and for me as a single mom, I do double the duty, right? Because the belief is like, oh my gosh, we have to we have to double up, you know, we have to be the mom and the dad and everything else. And if we're not working, we'd better be with our kids. So this started coming up like, what are people gonna think? What is her family gonna think? I'm just on the beach and I'm paying a babysitter, what the hell? So anyway, started going down that rabbit hole. And as soon as I realized that's exactly why I lost the keys. I knew this, like, nodeness come to me. Oh, they're there. They're right there. There's a bench where you put them. Go there. They're there. Sure enough, the keys were sitting right there. Okay. Why am I sharing this? I wrote a little note for myself for this section to remind you guys who's in charge. Who's in charge, right? Who lost the keys? It was not self-sabotage. Not like that. It was my spirit. Why? Because I have an intention of healing. That means sometimes I forget things. Sometimes I show up late. Sometimes I lose keys. Sometimes I quote unquote sabotage myself. Sometimes I say things that are inappropriate. Sometimes I say things and I have no idea why I say them. Okay. And what my spirit is doing, what our spirit is doing, it's engineering for us the instances to bring out that which holds us back from freedom. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So we think we're in control, right? We think we're forgetful or we're upset or we cause drama and we cause somebody to leave us. And the sooner we realize that's not the case, and the sooner we realize who's in charge, and we start identifying with the version of us that is the puppeteer, not the puppet, right? Puppeteer, not the puppet. When we start realizing this, we start understanding that serendipities are really engineered by the higher dimensional version of ourselves. So, and by the way, this healing is done whether we are consciously on board or not, right? Can you guys hear that? Okay, I'll just ask them to turn it down. Okay. Disculpe, permiso. ¿Puede, por favor, no prender los instrumentos hasta las 11, porfa? Gracias. Okay. How's my Spanish? So, this is just how it goes today. Oh, okay. Where was I? Yes. So we can go about it in the victimized way where things are happening to us, right? Or in a surrendered way where really you start getting really excited and curious. What is the soul up to right now? What is it? I am triggered. What does it mean? What is underneath it? What can I unravel? How much more freedom can I gain? And this becomes a really, really exciting game when you change your mindset about it, you know? When your expectations are met, people aren't showing up for your events, your clients aren't saying yes. What is it that is provoking in you? And you kind of have to stay in that liberation until you start beginning to see the threads. So, by the way, when I realized this, I kind of went on this deep journey for the rest of the day. And I saw so many beautiful things that it was the most amazing day. But anyway, so this is such a tiny instance, right? Lost keys, so many breakthroughs out of that. This conversation this week, I hope will open something up for you. Hopefully you will begin to understand. My intention is that you begin to understand that, I'll say something crazy. It's maybe not you who's going and grabbing the ice cream out of the freezer, 5 times a day. That there is something else in charge that is driving your journey, making you do things to make you realize something. With the ice cream, like it's literally grabbing your hand. It's like, okay, look, is there something you're missing? Maybe a little bit of sweetness in your life. So we start seeing things a little bit differently. Now, it is only in the hindsight that I could understand why I lost the keys. Okay? It is only in the hindsight when I could understand why one launch, we can bring in 30 new clients and the next one only 3. It was only in the hindsight that I could understand why I was abandoned by a biological father of my daughter when I was 6 weeks pregnant. It is in the hindsight that we can understand why things happen the way they do when we look back. All the bad things that happen to us. So only hindsight we can understand why the most loving thing was for our children not to speak to us for years sometimes, right? So if you want a total trust in your business, and if you want to move towards feeling a safety and security, the number one thing is to stop pretending that we're in charge. The 3D version of us is not in charge, okay? And it's time to begin to rise and identify with our soul, with our higher selves, not the earthly and the 3D version in the mind, right? So I say, when you show up here, show up somatically. Notice what's happening in your body. What reactions are you having to what I'm saying? Because that gives us a door. And oftentimes it's door through a few layers of the dark until you see the light, right? You have to go sometimes and dissolve some of the fog that is on the surface. So I don't know what she's talking about, but I'm triggered. What is happening, Dive through that, go deeper and deeper and deeper, because, and nonstop on that journey as you do these exercises, because You could be so close, but there's one exiled part of you. There's one part of you that is so deeply buried. And if you stop here at the level of grief, or here at the level of fear, or wherever you are, you don't quite get to what's in the core of your issues, which is usually a very, very deeply hurting exiled part that is either in deep guilt or deep shame or deep sadness or something like that. You will not be able to come through full circle on the liberation. So, business. We're here because we want to create a new paradigm business. Yes? Yes? Can we put a yes in the chat for that? We're here because what some people call it a 5D business, or whatever you have, right? Which I could go into for hours and hours, but I'm not going to right now. But basically, we're here to create a business that is based on our connection to divine self. Not created to keep us safe from our traumas, which what most people are doing. They're building a business to keep them safe from not experiencing the past traumas. And it's not working, because the soul wants us to experience the things we need to experience so we can be free of it. Do you ever notice how we're experiencing the same thing over and over and over and over since we were tiny? It's the same story. We're getting the chance again and again and again and again, you know, one toxic relationship after another, one failed launch after another, one failed coaching relationship coach after another, one friend abandonment after another. And we're trying to mindset and muscle our way through it. Oh, just think more positive or whatever it is. But that is not what's required of us, right? We are actually here. What is required of us is to actually consciously experience that which we could not experience when we were this tiny. Because we couldn't. We didn't have the emotional maturity. We didn't have the tools. We didn't have, you know, whatever it was. We couldn't consciously experience it. So now, you know, is the time where there's a lot coming up for people. The past 2 years, craziness, right? And our job is to go and consciously experience this so we get why we're here. So the mission for UnGoals is a certain unlocking of the hearts. And I would love for this to be an interactive experience, because if you find a new friend, you know, whether it's here in the Facebook group, if you get just a little bit closer to each other, you know, if we can open our hearts a little bit more, because we're all going through the same stuff, business and life, then I will have done my job. But the overall intention is liberation. And also my intention is that everybody feels valued and respected and cared about. So this is there's 30 of us here. It's not a big group. So I don't feel like I need to say this, but if somebody makes a comment that makes me feel unsafe, and I'm a very highly sensitive empath, and I used to have some really crazy commenters, just so you know, I'm going to kick them out. Well, not me. Jay is going to kick them out immediately because I really want to protect the safety of this group. Okay. So I hope that's okay with you guys. I just want to make sure that this is really conducive to being able to go inward. All right. How's everybody feeling right now? Just tune in, take a breath, tune in, and type a word in the chat for how you're feeling right now. And feel where it's in your body. Great, uneasy, hopeful, lovely, grateful. It's okay, called out. Interesting. I mean, anything that is happening, you know, if there's something uncomfortable going for you, awesome. Right? It's already working. Wonderful, wonderful. Open to learning. Grateful for your leadership. Thank you. A bit scared in a beautiful way. Wonderful. All right. So I spend my whole life being a master hustler. Any hustlers in the group? Put a yes in the chat. If you are somebody who relied heavily on the doingness and checking things off the list, it makes you comfortable. Okay. All right, got some sisters here and brothers. So I know how difficult it is. Let go of the doingness, especially if it worked for you. Especially if it worked for you, right? Because it's a strong suit that really is designed to protect us. We line up our life. We have our checklist. We have our calendar. We have this and that and the other. It's a protective mechanism. It's a strong suit that we built out of necessity when we really didn't feel safe at some point in our life. And we figured, okay, when I get my ducks in a row, I do the things, I check the list, I'm a doer, I hustle, I make things happen, I feel safe. It's a little bit of a pacifier. So I was quite successful running my life based on goals, plans, and from my head. I take it some of you might be relating to this. So there is an entirely new frequency available that does not require all the overdoing, that has abundance, joy, and the most elegant business strategies that allow you to live life serving of others. I'll give you an example, right? We used to run ads for these events and we would have, oh my gosh, so many ad versions. I would record like 6 different videos and write 10 different posts, and we would hire an expert, pay them $2,500 a month just to manage this and split test this and, you know, do all this, like, what do they call it? There was like a formula for this, you know, like, it's so funny. It's like the pain point and the benefit and this, and oh my gosh. Do you guys know what cost per lead is? What that means on Facebook? It's basically when you run ads is what you're paying for somebody to come in and buy something or register for something, right? So our cost per lead was a minimum $30. It went all the way up to somewhere like 100 or 200 bucks at one point when it got really crazy, right? So we decided to run a little ad, a little tiny one. I wasn't ready for a big audience for this one, but I was like, okay, let's test it out. I streamed 2 ads, 2 versions that came from my higher self. We tested both of them. It was so fluid. There was no waste because one worked out. One said, hey, I want to be used. I just want to be emailed out as the confirmation email. It took me a whole 15 minutes to write this. It took a Jay, I don't know, you can tell them in the chat, how long did it take you to set this up? The cost per lead, I don't even like the word lead, quite frankly, because that just dehumanizes. That's just part of the problem, you know? It just dehumanizes everybody. But our cost per lead was $3.57 or something like that. So yeah. So, but that happens when you open yourself up and you start trusting and you see, these are the things I need to do. You notice there's no landing page. There's no email sequences that have been prepared. There's no add button to this and that. There's no craziness. There's none of that nonsense. The funny thing that I used to teach all these things, that you have to do this thing that I call the retreat Bible. It would be this enormous Excel spreadsheet of all the things you have to do if you want to do an online retreat to launch your group program. That some of you might remember. Anybody remembers retreat Bible? Oh my gosh, hilarious, right? Our checklist is like 5 things put together yesterday. So let's talk about goals. The mind does not have capacity to know what the best goal is, okay? That's why UnGoals. For example, you tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna make $300,000 a year next year. Feels good, right? Your coach tells you you deserve it. We deserve it. Yes, we deserve it. Everybody deserves 300,000. Yes, So you will be able to buy vacations for your family, afford yourself a nice new porch, whatever, right? How do you know it's the right goal? How do you even know what's the right amount of money for you to make, given what we're working through, right? Like, what if you find out that the best for you and your joy and your happiness is actually make 30K and be forced to get some kind of job to support yourself? And only through the connections in that job and the healing that is going to happen, you will build a $2 million business that is you're not even going to care about the numbers. It's have nothing to do with you or the numbers or anything. Would you take that? Gina says you don't. Yes. Okay. She says, heck yes. Exactly. So all this good, bad, right, or wrong about the goals, and I didn't achieve my goals. Oh my God. That's just the mind making stuff up. We really don't know. But what we do know that it's always happening for us. Whatever you make, whatever you didn't make, whatever you succeeded, whatever you didn't succeeded, led you where you are here right now, didn't it? Are you willing to put that kind of trust and keep healing and keep putting yourself out there? Not hide, but keep putting yourself out there while you heal through stuff, being very, very open that it might not work out the way you want it to. Are we that kind of open? And if you're not, that's okay. That's totally honest. It's like, no, just really prefer controlling it. Hey, I'm a control freak. I get it. I get it. Okay. Whether or not you accept it is like, it doesn't make it a difference, quite frankly, because the soul is still in charge. You're just committing to being a happier person, quite frankly. That's all that's happening, right? And if you say no, that's okay. You're welcome to be upset when your goals don't totally come true. Okay, we can hold on to that for a minute longer. It's okay. But thank you so much for your honesty, because I so get it, right? I so get it. So yeah, this is not an easy road, especially if you're somebody who's already accomplished, right? Working with your mind. If you're so accomplished working with your mind versus working with your heart and your body and your soul, this is going to be a big transition, and you will have a lot to lose, right? Because the mind, yeah. So I'll share another story. This was me, really, in 2020 and early 2021, I was on this rampage towards safety. I had been heartbroken so much heartbreak, that I just said, I will not allow myself to be dependent on anyone ever. I'm going to empower myself. I'm going to build a 7-figure business from nothing in a year. And we did it. In 2021, the first quarter, we had a $1 million quarter, 12 employees, craziness. But the minute we got there, my soul wanted me to stop. My soul wanted me to slow down. My soul said, okay, you're safe. You have some savings. Take a break. You do not have to launch anymore. You don't have to prove success anymore. You don't have to do a retreat every 6 weeks to show your clients that you can still launch, which is what I ended up doing. Right? It's time to heal, but I didn't listen. Okay. I was, yes, I got stuck in proving something. And I kept pushing and pushing, and it started working less and less and less and less, until I wound up by June 2021, I was in a place that was so exhausted. It wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't inspiring anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to deal with everything. And anyway, all the staff, all the employees, all the clients, it was crazy. At the time, we had around, say, 130 clients in a year-long incubator, intensive incubator, and like teaching 5 times a day. It was insane, right? But what my heart was craving was a full-time healing break. And transition from the old way of doing a business into something new and different. But it would need liberation. It would need metamorphosis. It would need breaking down that which didn't serve, unpeeling layers and layers of the snake skins that we have built for our own protection, right? And it's okay that I didn't listen, it just means that I had to struggle a little bit. And you might be in that space where you might not be willing to listen quite yet, and you're in this battle with yourself, and you feel like, I really am craving slowing it down and going through this transition and metamorphosing into the next version of myself that is pure heart, no anxiety, none of that craziness, pure heart, right? But you're battling yourself because I have to provide, I have to do. And if I don't, then else. But what happens when we do that? When we're in this, if I don't make money, then else zone, would you want to be your own client? When it's all about proving something, when it's all about proving your success, when it's all about money, right? And it's so many people are there. They're like, I'll do this, but I need to make this much money next month, right? By the way, I am not saying that planning in business is not a good thing. Planning is a yes. I mean, we're still operating in the 3D world. We have to have schedules, we have to have calendars, we have to communicate with others, right? So it can't just be, all over the place. But the plan becomes more a way to executing what's in our heart. And we use the plan to align with our clients and the people we work with, right? But everything starts with intention first. It's energetic. It's energetic. Just take a deep breath. What do I want to create? How do I want it to feel? How do I want to feel in my life and my business? Is it freedom at all costs? Is it peace at all costs? Not just when I have 3 clients or 5, but unconditionally. But if that's your goal, that means you have to build a muscle of compassion. You have to understand yourself deeply so that you start having compassion for all the crazy humaning that is going on outside, because there's a lot of humaning going on in the past 2 years. Right? Jay, by the way, could you pin me on camera? I don't know if I'm pinned or not. Just don't want poor people to be on the recording. Thank you. Right? That means we don't judge, but we understand and have compassion for other people's limitations. Of course, because we're coaches or mentors or consultants or healers or therapists or liberators, wherever you identify, right? So we have to have love for it. The more love we have, the more compassion that we have, the more we can actually serve as the liberator for the people who are coming to us. But you can't liberate somebody if you haven't liberated yourself. You're just going to be making them wrong, right? And at the same time, there's always going to be something that we're going to be judgmental about, right? It's just new level. There's things that we have integrated within ourselves that we're not judging, and there's things that we haven't, right? We're always moving up in our consciousness, or out, I should say, or in, because it's all just deeper, right? It feels expansive, but it's all just deeper. It's not out there somewhere, right? It's really deeper within. Every time we heal something, we go deeper and deeper and deeper. There's a universe and universe and universe and bajillion, multillion of universes hidden inside of us. And the key is to be following these trails and tracking yourself when something comes up. So you gift, the gift, right? When you get really clear on the gifts that you bring to the table, it's a whole nother level. And I'll talk about the difference between gift and a talent, maybe today, maybe a little bit. But the gift can be your business, right? The business, let me rephrase this, your business can present the gifts. It can be where you really expand yourself, where you really go inwards and expand your own level of consciousness by doing the inner digging within, and use that as expand and also give back to others. All right, I want to switch gears. Something came strong, very strongly yesterday, and it was the fear of failure. How many people are present to having some version of fear of failure? Put a yes in the chat. Okay. So take 2 deep breaths, Ujjayi. Bringing the breath through the back of your throat as if you were bringing it through a straw. And fill yourself with pure life force energy. And make sure you're staying in your body. Through this whole conversation, keep bringing yourself back into your sensations and your body. When we procrastinate, when you have an idea, you want to do something and you're being held back. Actually, I want you to bring to mind, what are you trying to do that you're being held back from? Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's doing a launch. Maybe it's international travel. Maybe it's visiting your family. I don't know. Maybe it's going to Disneyland. Does everybody have something that you're being held back from? Okay, brilliant. What are you afraid will happen if you take the risk? And we have to actually start clearing the fog. We have to look at what is it that we're actually afraid of. Get to the bottom. And fear is not one and done, right? There will always be fear. It's a protective mechanism. The fear is not the problem, okay? The fear is not the problem. The fear is a protective part that does not want you to face an exiled, deeply hurting part inside of you. And there are layers. And the more you expand, the more you will hit those protective parts. Okay. And you want to. So when you experience fear, you say, hooray, there is something. There is an expansion, there's a liberation, there's next level of my joy. I did this exercise yesterday afternoon, actually. I got a message from in the Visionary Circle WhatsApp group from a beautiful client who is holding herself back and expanding her client base. You know, there's some things. And I decided to follow along and track this. Am I being held back? And the answer was, oh yes. Oh yes, you know, with ad cost $3.59 or whatever, you know, I could run a launch with 2,000 people in here, but I'm not. So what's the deal? Right? What's the deal? What am I holding back from? So I will offer you some things. If you resonate with something, just put a number in the chat. I'll give it numbers. And that is so that you know that you're not alone in this. Sometimes it sounds like this. I'm afraid to find out that I'm not as aligned as I think I am. I'm afraid of being blindsided. Because if it doesn't work out, that means that I really wasn't aligned. That resonates. Put number 1 in the chat. What if I launch my product? You know, and I'll find out that I was totally wrong. Totally wrong. It was not the thing. What if I find out that the idea that I'm so in love with does not have legs? What if I put all the work in only to make it there to launch and to find out there are no clients for me? If that's true for you, do me a favor and put a 3 in the chat. Don't worry about number 2. I skipped it. I have some notes here for you. I'm so afraid that I will put myself out there and there will be no clients for me. in my next endeavor, or they will just stop coming in. The question is, why would there be no clients for you? It goes like this. Because I'm worthy. Because I tell myself I'm worthy, but not that kind of worthy. I don't have that kind of a relationship with the spirit where I am showing up, where I am needed, and I get compensated for it because I'm supported on my journey, right? I'm not worthy enough to be needed. Really, am I? You have to really, really reach within to see some of these. So essentially, there's a lack of trust. There is no trust that my gifts are actually needed. If that resonates, put 4. And what happens when we do that, when we do not see ourselves, when we really, no bullshit, right? We have to strip the bullshit. Strip the bullshit, all the affirmations, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. Underneath all that, if we are questioning it, it's like, okay, but I'm making it up. Like I'm trying to fit myself here and here. Who can I serve? You know? And we really don't know if what we're doing is of service. Then we get into the client getting business. The client getting business, that is what the rest of the business coaching industry is teaching, right? It's designed to bypass this innermost painful doubt and what's the word? Anesthetize it, really. Make it go away. This internal doubt that we have about our ability to serve and our worthiness to deliver, that is designed to cover that up, to pacify it, so you don't have to deal with it. That doubt that is there. And so you hire a coach, funnels and what do they call them? Traffic and funnels. One of those, right? Traffic and funnels is going to solve your problem. So I don't want to mean to make fun of this, but it's funny because it only works for the people when they're so aligned. All these tactics only work when somebody is aligned, right? Which is like 2%, right? Any business tactics will only work if it's in your heart, right? If it is not aligned and it works, then it would be totally derailing your whole journey, right? So thank God it doesn't work for everyone. So you start to see how we want to control, we want things to work. But if we have a life that is controlled, like what's going to happen? You're going to be exactly who you are. You're going to be like exactly how you came here, how you were born. That's exactly the same way you're going to be for the rest of your life. And that's what actually most people want. They actually want to be in control, right? They have interested in growth when it's like nice and with a therapist, and we can do our emotional release nice and safe. But the rest of our life, once I make it out of that session, I want to be in control, right? So we have to be clear on 2 things: where we're sourcing from and what your gift is. Otherwise, we're going to be making business up in our mind. There's a caveat to it because we really aren't, but that's how we perceive it. As soon as you go into the paradigm of making it up in your head, you cannot trust that it will work, can you? Because you're literally throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. You're not following your spirit, you're following spaghetti, and you will hope that one of those spaghetti is somehow aligned. It's very, very difficult. When we do that, it becomes a ton of hard work, overdoing, taking a lot of action, doubting ourselves. You'll be doing sales calls, getting nowhere because you don't see your own magic. Therefore, others can't either. You will be producing content to prove yourself. The opposite of that is the business of surrender, which is scary as hell. And you start a little bit, and then you go deeper, and you go deeper. It's like, no, like, oh, I'm just going to throw everything out, to surrender. It's a process. It's a journey. It's becoming, running a business a certain way. Sometimes when we surrender to what's being asked about, it's painfully risky. And money comes in, which is another strength that I want to bring in, is the money, because we cannot have a liberation conversation without talking about money. So with money, there's two camps. Those who are all about making money and hitting their goals because they have been so traumatized and so hurt, and they need to be in such control that is their way. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. If you have been all about making money, it's because you don't feel safe, and you don't feel safe because you have trauma. Okay? So that's one camp where just like blocked everything off, close their art, just do the business, run their spreadsheet, make the money, right? There's not a lot of joy. There's not a lot of love. There's not a lot of, opening. The other camp is the people who want nothing to do with that. And they're so afraid of being that person who is just in it for the money that they're so avoiding it, so being scared of it that I don't even make any. And I'm really feeling that we need to clean this up. So take a deep breath. I want to ask you a question. What do you sense? I'm just going to throw out a number, adjust the number if you need to, okay? What do you sense when you think of charging a client $25K for a year-long private coaching program? What do you sense? What's the first feeling? What does the body give you? What is the feeling? What is the sensation? Okay. It's anywhere from anxiety to horror. Interesting. Adjust that number, okay? To whatever's right for you. Aha. Yes. Okay, great. Great. What is coming up? Is it a fear of taking advantage and being called a profiteer? Maybe. Put a 1. That's your thing. Maybe for some people, it's like humiliatingly cheap because my peers are charging quadruple. I'm going to look desperate. That shows up a lot in our field, right? Too, because we have to be charging a certain amount to look like we know what we're doing, right? So we can't charge what's appropriate for us. We have to charge 5, 10, 15, 20, 100K for our programs. So there's this fear of our pricing being humiliating. Does anybody have that? Put a 2 in the chat. Okay. Or, For some people, it's like, oh my gosh, I would hate if somebody called me greedy. She's all about money. Anybody have that? 3. So now this is a time where you actually it's okay to make a note. That anxiety, that dread, I'd say put that feeling down for yourself to track this later, to really get to the bottom of this. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm really running out of time, you guys. It's 11. Is that okay if we go for 5 more minutes? Okay. Oh, it's gonna have all this conversation too. I'll have to leave this for tomorrow. So, we'll talk about gifts tomorrow. Back to this question. With the thing you're resisting, you're procrastinating. And you're welcome to share in the chat what it is. And there's no, it's really powerful when you share to not analyze it, right? Because we're all really, really good at analyzing ourselves. We can do that all day long. But really feel, what is this bringing up for me? Ooh, there's another one. I am so afraid of being back on the hamster wheel. I don't want to be back on the hamster wheel of toggling between do and apathy and that whole thing and the burnout and being so stressed out and dealing with this constant anxiety of hitting or not hitting my goals. Anyone on that path? If you would you please put number 5 in the chat? I'm so, oh yeah. Okay, approval stuff. Oh, it's that's huge. But I'm so afraid that I will look like I'm struggling. Oh, because I don't know what I'm doing. I am afraid that people will actually see that I have no clients or few clients, or that my clients have gone down from X to Z and I'm not all that I'm cracked up to be, that I present myself to be. So if that's coming up for you, it's a very strong one. That's for those of you who have trauma on some level of invalidation and bullying, where we really feel that we have to look strong at all times and we have to look successful and we have to look like we have it all together. It's very, very, very painful. It's an inability to actually be vulnerable. Like, we can be vulnerable all day long as long as it's controlled, you know, we can share our blind spots all day long, but the actual like looking weak, you know, being vulnerable in front of people, like that's really, really excruciatingly hard for us, right? If we have been attacked. Anybody has that? That's a 6. Yeah. Yeah, just out of you guys who have the 6s, who has some kind of bullying in your past, some kind of just in like, you know, being picked on, that kind of, yeah, okay. It's a powerful, powerful gift that, you know, we heal through. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. So there's a fear that comes up for people, like I don't want people to know that I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I don't teach cookie cutter business strategies anymore. I know them, but I understand, when I show up to the visionary circle or client meeting, I understand I don't know anything. I cannot rely on my toolbox of this and this and that and the other, because everybody's journey is so different. And if I give you a strategy, it's worked for 99 people and it's not going to work for you because you're not ready for it to work, right? Every client is different. Do we know what we're doing? No. As coaches, as healers, as consultants, we better not know what we're doing, because that shuts down the openness to what can be. That shuts down the conversation. If we already have a list of, oh, you should do, and the person is obviously, dealing with something else over here, that if they don't deal with this, like none of this will work. Make sense? There's a fear of being stuck and imprisoned by our business. Anyone has that? Like, I don't want to lose my inner sense of sovereignty because it's so much work. I'm going to be trapped with these clients for who knows how long. I feel free now. If I add something else, am I going to be still free? What number are we on? 8? 7? I guess we're on 7. Okay, so that would be 7. Okay. If I take on more clients, I will be stuck without freedom. I will crack under pressure and I will lose my current lifestyle, right? See, there is a thing in that. This life is about unconditional peace, unconditional freedom. Not like I am free if everybody does what they're supposed to be doing, right? That's a very shaky kind of freedom. So there's also a fear of getting attached. Some of us have trauma, like we got so attached to something. And when we get attached, there's this solar plexus things that just, not just solar plexus, it's like in your heart and your lungs, you feel this like attachment to an outcome. When you get into that, it becomes really toxic, it becomes really hard, and it shuts down your body. You just become like this buzzing machine and you're just like all about your goal. Has anybody experienced that? That would be 8. Here's the last one for the day. Yeah. It is the fear of being crushed and heartbroken. So afraid of putting ourselves out there and our heart being broken. Like, I will put my entire heart and soul. Most people don't do that. They just do a half-assed effort in something because they have a misaligned relationship with their business. They don't want to put their heart out there. But what does that even mean? When you think about this, when we do that, you might see the link, the way you treat your relationships too, your romantic relationships, where we get into relationships hoping for something, hoping to get something, hoping for somebody to save us, hoping for somebody to prove us our worthiness, hoping for somebody to show us that we are okay, that we are good enough. When we get into relationships, when we do dating from this perspective, and we get on whatever people get on these days, Tinder or whatever else, and they're looking for that person they can put on a pedestal, give them the authority to approve of us, right? It's like, yeah, good looking enough. You're an authority. Great. Oh, you're spiritual. Awesome. Right. And we put them on a pedestal and we're expecting that approval. What are we really looking for? Is an approval from our mom, most likely, maybe from our dad. Right. It's bound to fail. When we put ourselves in that kind of relationship with our business, where we give it power to give anything to us. We're in a codependent relationship with our business. We're not creating from the spirit. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I see you guys are seeing this. Yes, yes, yes. I need my business to succeed so that I can prove I'm worthy. Exactly. Exactly. And this really requires the inner tunneling into that instance when we were maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, when we decided that we were not worthy. And who here has, okay, and I'm not talking, okay, I will say that I love my mom and I respect her, but I was raised by a narcissistic mother. Okay. I might do a bonus tomorrow night after or something, or tomorrow morning. I'll see for daughters of narcissistic moms. How do you know that you had narcissistic parents? Is that they make everything about your achievement. They're happy when you have straight A's. They're happy when you achieve. Everything is about how it looks, not how it feels. Anybody in that camp? My soul family is usually we track, right? So this is so oh, that's a big one. It's a big one. Those of you who did not have, who had approving parents, you are so fortunate and so blessed, right? Because what we were taught is that that love has to be deserved for something. Love is to us equals approval from another person. Yes, we're in that relationship where we're constantly chasing our parents' approval. Now I'll put this together for some of you guys. So you have a parent that requires you to have straight A's, right? So you're really working hard to make your parent happy no matter what, and then you get bullied for it. It's just, oh man. It's like bound to create an interesting business, until you start becoming conscious of this. Then it becomes your best gift. Then it becomes the most beautiful thing that you can liberate your clients from. Yeah, our parents really gave us some gifts that we transmute and we heal and we liberate others. It's just how it works, right? It's not our parents that basically, they were just a mirror. We chose our parents to help us deal with whatever that was anyway. It's like, the point is not to blame our parents. They're perfect. They're the best set of parents, right? So it just becomes so fun once we get to the very bottom of these things and start healing and liberating this. Anyway, so this, okay. This thing about being heartbroken and crushed too. Being rejected. Is there anybody in this group who has been canceled before? Canceled. Maybe by a client or two, maybe by your spiritual community, maybe by your spiritual coach or teacher, maybe by your classmates in high school or middle school. You know the feeling. You will, if you are, write this down, because, oh my gosh, that, again, it's all by soul design. It's all by soul design. It's not happening to you. It's literally reminding you of the pain that is inside of you, and you're building this entire business and protecting you're building this brand that will guarantee you will not be rejected, right? You will always look popular. You will be on camera. There's people liking whatever you're doing, right? Because you do not want to experience the innermost painful part that lives inside of you, well hidden. And I will tell you this, you will not be happy until this part is healed and reparented. It's just like that not belonging that you're mentioning, like that thing has to be healed and that has to be liberated. Okay. So today is a little bit heavy. Yeah. A little bit heavy. And that is by design. That is by design. We're wrapping up session 1 for today. You might feel a little bit overwhelmed. Who feels a little bit, oh my gosh, I have so much shit. How do I even deal with this? So the thing is, every liberation starts with awareness. You might have a list of things, right, that you're like, oh my goodness. Every single one of those that gets healed is an enormous liberation in the making. And what's more, that is the gifts. So I'm going to have one more conversation with you guys because this is so exciting, actually. This is so exciting. So the difference between gifts and talents, right? So there's gifts and there's talents and there's strong suits. So talents are things that we bring into this lifetime. At least this is how I see it, okay? I don't care about other people's definition, what everybody has written. This is what came through for me and what's true for me. So talents are the things that we bring in from like what's been already unblocked in our parallel existences, right? So for example, since I was little, like I had a sense for music. Like I just have a sense for rhythm. Like I can hear when somebody's pitchy and somebody's off tune, and other people, I hear them singing. I'm like, do they not have ears? Like what's happening, right? So this is something that I've transcended. That's a gift, right? I also, not gift, that's a talent, right? I also have a talent for breaking down or translating the linear in non-linear into linear, right? I have a talent of making things understandable to other people and breaking it down and giving them hope. And yes, you can deal with this, and breaking it down in bite-sized chunks. So those are my talents, right? That's something that I have inherently. I came here with the DNA of a teacher. I will always be a teacher. That's what it is. That's a talent. Gifts is something else. Gifts are the power. Gifts are the things, the stuff that you're talking, that we're doing here right now, right? Every single one of those instances that you actually get to the bottom of this somatically, not on paper, not figuring it out in your head. There's no cheese down the head tunnel, right? But really feeling through and going deep within. Every time you liberate something, you have a huge gift. The gift is compassion, that gift is love, and the gift is total understanding. When a client comes with this and this and the other, you got it because you have dealt with it. And the more you do this inner work, the more tools in your inbox you have. You don't need modalities. You don't need other people to train you on certifications because you have access to your full intuition. Your intuition is not being blocked by your wounded parts. And honestly, quite honestly, I am not done healing. Oh my gosh, I'm like not even getting started, you know? But my commitment when I work with my clients is, you know, the way it works is they bring something up and I sit with it. If I don't have the answers and I haven't experienced it, I sit with it and I process it. And then we process it as a group. I don't have to have all the answers, but I have commitment to going deep. They bring up an issue and I have no idea. I'm like, dude, I'm in a blind spot right now. I don't know. I don't know what to answer here. It's not coming to me clearly. That means it's my blind spot as well. So these things that you're working through, they are the gift that you're going to be passing to your clients. Yes. So instead of beating yourself up, which we're all very good at doing, like, let's just realize like what we're doing here, right? You put yourself here to transcend all this. It's silly to think, oh my gosh, I have so much shit. I'm not good enough. We're just waking up. That's all that's happening. We're waking up to parts of ourselves and expanding ourselves. That's all we have to do. That is all that is required of us. So your awareness, you should be joyful. You should be ecstatic, right? Because those are the things, whether you know about it or not, they have been stopping you for eons, for millennia, for lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes. So this should really be empowering to you. This should really be like, okay, I know what is there to heal in my business. I know what I need to do to expand. Is it going to be hard work? Yeah. It's going to be fun though, you know, going within and working with this stuff. Really wonderful. So, okay, okie doke. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for staying over time. I really, really appreciate all of you guys. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow. And homework will be posted in the group. Feel free to share anything that comes up in the group as well. I will be checking periodically. And so much gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.